Good afternoon. I'm here with my lovely mother, uh, Oma Lee Higgins Brown, and this is an interview about her life. And say hello, Mom.
Hello, how's everybody?
Yeah. And so, what I'm going to get you to do is you introduce yourself, your full name.
Well, I am Omar H. Brown, Omar Higgins Brown. Higgins by middle name and Brown by my married name.
Okay. And when were you born?
When
Mm-hmm.
I was born in 1940.
Okay. And your age right now?
I'm 81 years old.
Okay. And where were you born?
I was born in Lexington, Kentucky.
Okay. And what are your parents' names?
My parents were named
Your
Leon.
your dad.
That's my dad, Leon Higgins. My mother was named Hattie Baker. And I don't know what was had a middle name or not. I don't know if it was Francis Baker or not, but she was married to, like you said, Leon Higgins, which is my father. So she became a Higgins from Baker to Higgins after she married him.
Okay, so Leon Otis Higgins, is your father.
Right, he's my father.
And Hattie Baker Higgins is your mother.
Right, exactly.
Okay. And what about your siblings?
My siblings. I had a brother. Siblings?
Yes.
I had one sibling, and his name was James Otis Higgins.
Okay, one brother, no sisters.
Brother. No sisters.
Okay, James Otis Higgins is your brother.
Right.
That's deceased, which your parents are deceased and your brother's deceased. And what about grandparents, like your father's parents, your fraternal grandparents?
On my father's side?
Yes.
On my father's side, my grandparents was Ida May Thurkiel, and she married Leon Higgins. I mean, she married,
she married Arthur.
Arthur, she married, Arthur. I'm trying to think all these names together. I'm getting confused. Arthur Higgins.
Arthur Higgins Sr.
Senior, right. And before that, she was a Thurkiel before she married the Higgins. So the Thurkiel name come out as a history background too.
Okay, so yeah, your Leon Otis Higgins, your father, his parents, his mother was Ida May Thurkiel and Higgins.
Right.
And then her husband, which was your grandfather, your fraternal grandfather,
right,
Arthur Higgins Sr., correct?
Right.
Okay. And what about your maternal grandparents on your mom's side?
Okay, my maternal grandparents on my mother's side was Sarah Baker. She was a Muir before she was Baker. I had to think of these names. She was a Muir, and she had a brother named Dan Muir, so they supposed to have been twins. So that Muir side came on there from their maiden names, and she married Higgins, Arthur Higgins.
Baker. You're talking about your mom's side.
Okay, she married no, Thurkiel goes up on my dad's side. So she was a Baker.
So her name was Sarah Muir. How do you
Muir? M-U-I-R Muir.
Okay, Sarah Muir, and then she married a Baker. So she was Sarah Muir Baker, And her husband's name, which is your maternal grandfather, his name was what?
Jim Baker.
Jim Baker. Okay. So Sarah Muir Baker and Jim Baker, those are your maternal grandparents. That's
Yeah,
on your
and then
mom's side.
Mom, on my mom's side. Keep the
Okay.
sides mixed up, kind of, it gets confused.
Okay, no, that's fine. So now moving on to your life, how many children did you have?
I had two wonderful children, and then the name of my oldest son was James Kendall Higgins.
Okay, that would be my brother
It's your brother,
who is deceased.
right? He's deceased, and you, my daughter, is Stephanie Lynn Higgins.
Stephanie Lynn. Yes, I'm Stephanie Lynn
She's
Higgins,
Stephanie
now,
Lynn.
now Garrett.
Now you're Garrett.
I'm a Garrett. And the father of those children, the name of the father of our dad,
Right. John Clavin.
John Irving Clavin.
Clavin.
Okay, which they called Tony, called him Tony.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
nickname Tony. Yeah.
Okay. And how about your life as far as when you had your first child, James Kendall Higgins? How old were you?
How old was I when I had my
Yes.
first child? Oh, I had went to school in Paducah, and I graduated in class of 58. So he was born in 59.
Okay. And what about me?
He's 61, I think. I always say 61 or 62 because you were right in that 60 level. So I'm sure it's between 61 and 62. I think it's
61.
61,
I was
right.
born, yeah. Okay. And what about just gonna go about grandchildren? Your
Repeat that.
grandchildren.
Grandchildren.
Mhm.
My son has passed away, has two children,
Mhm.
and their names. The oldest child was Kendall Maurice Higgins,
Okay.
and the second was a girl. Her name is Shamika Higgins. I don't know which I don't remember a middle name that she's had or not, but
Yeah,
know that's Shamika.
she has a middle name, Liana. And
Liana.
yeah, and that kind of goes back to, my brother and I, when we were talking about if we have children, and I always wanted to name a girl, if I had a girl, Liana, after granddaddy, which is my fraternal grandfather, your dad. And
Right.
After I didn't have children, and Kendall, well, actually, he stole the name because I hadn't, had a chance to have any children, even though I never had any. But
Right.
he took that name when his daughter Shamika was born, and he used it as the middle name, Shamika Liana Higgins. And I was like, wait a minute, hey, you stole that name from me. But, I'm glad she's got it because that's a part of me. But
exactly part of you.
So Kendall Maurice Higgins is his oldest son, and then Shamika Liana Higgins is his daughter. And then
Right.
what about great grandchildren?
I have one original great grandchild. That's Shamika's baby, and his name is Dream. And it's a funny thing because I said dream, and that sounds so pretty because when you live with him now, it's always like a dream because we see him every once in a while. So it's kind of like we dreaming to see him, dreaming because we love him. But they spell it different. They spell it Dream.
They spell it with a J.
Well, with the J, yeah. I don't know how. Yeah, Dream, and that was different because I never heard that before.
Yes, and he's our dream. And
he is our dream, right?
Reggie, my husband Reggie calls him the pandemic baby because he was born
Born in the time
during
of
the
the pandemic.
pandemic and last year 2020. So
Right.
yeah, the pandemic baby. So how about let's go back to like your schooling, like starting out, the schools you attended.
Well, I was originally from started at Old Booker T School when we were young, from the kindergarten all the way up to I guess we were the regular age of being sixth grade or something. We started out at a young age where we stayed in school at a real early age, connected with each other because we were kind of in a community where we shared together. So then we went from Booker T all the way up to the Dunbar. And that started at the sixth grade level to the 12th grade level.
Okay, so you didn't have a middle school. You just went from kindergarten to fifth grade with Booker T. And then you from sixth grade to 12th and graduating high school was Dunbar.
Right, exactly. Dunbar.
Okay. And so did you, were you in any activities in your high school or?
Well, I was in some activities. I was in like, the university cheerleading squad, practices you went to. I never was really completely a cheerleader, but I did do the, cheerleading, all the way, in school. So I enjoyed that.
Okay, and you're still close to your Dunbar classmates, aren't you?
Yeah, a few of us are still living and still around, and we share with each other every once in a while. We work together, and we do every 10 years for like a anniversary period where we come together, and some of us has passed away, but I don't know the year and time because I do have a booklet. I don't know, it was 3 years ago that I was the president of my class.
Okay.
And I enjoyed it and everything. So thank the Lord for letting me be a part of them and being able to share with them doing, things that we enjoy doing,
Yeah.
Dunbar alumni, where all the classes would come together and share with each other. Whatever class you were in, would come together as a unit and then would share our class and what they were doing together.
Okay. And what about further education after high school?
I went to Paducah, and Paducah was in parts of Tennessee.
Oh, I thought it was Paducah, Kentucky. I mean, Paducah, yeah.
I was in that area. We not say that because it's between I always said between Kentucky and Tennessee because Paducah's in that area.
Okay, and it's I think it borders Illinois as well, doesn't it?
Yes, probably does border Illinois. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so where'd you go to school for?
I went to school for business administration.
Okay.
And some later on, I loved designing and putting things together, but I didn't do it there. Later on, I went to school in Texas for kind of like a, technology school there in Texas. Okay. And I did the fashion merchandising. Okay.
Yeah. That's why you like putting clothes together so much, huh?
Yeah, I do like putting clothes together. I like putting colors together, the detailed stuff that looks good together, and keep up with the fashions and knowing what needs to be put together. I do. That just comes to me natural.
Yeah. What about like employment? What do you remember? Like your first job?
First job, I worked at a hospital. The hospital has always been surrounding around me. I think the first job I had was at St. Joe Hospital, old hospital. If you go back in history, you find out where it was located at. But I worked there, and I became an understanding as being a nurse's aide. That's what they called them then, nurse's aide, taking care of people, doing things.
Yeah.
And then when I left and went into my graduation and went into my background of what I really wanted to look at and do, I started working with UK. Went to UK, started working when I come back home from having getting my first child was born.
Yeah.
And I worked at UK in labor and delivery.
Okay, University of Kentucky, meaning UK.
University of Kentucky,
Yeah,
where I eventually retired from after 40, almost 48 some years.
okay, yeah. Well, that's a blessing.
Yep, very much a blessing.
Yeah, yeah.
I
And
spend that
so
much,
you said what?
I spend that much time there, but I enjoyed what I was doing. It seemed like there was a gift not only for what I was going through in my early part of my life with my children, that the Lord let me know that I could be helpful to some other young girl that's out there in the world. So labor and delivery became especially special to me. And I scrubbed in surgery, helping to deliver babies. And
Yeah.
so I did that for so many years. And now I run into people right now. I run into people say, you were with me when I had my baby. I had this child. And I'm so excited about that because I said, what are their names? And then they tell me.
Yeah.
And he says, well, now that person's right now is almost 40 some years old. I said, wow,
Wow. That is
you
wow.
know,
Yeah.
that is a blessing.
That's a
Yes,
blessing, Mom, to be using that way. And so also like the doctors, they loved you working with them, scrubbing with them, and they requested for you a lot of times, didn't they?
they sure did. I mean, sure did. Because, you know, when you have a job and you learn how to do your job, you do it as well as you can do it, and you do it within the maneuvers of what they can do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think that's the reason they enjoyed being with me, because when they needed something, I was always ahead of them.
Mm.
I had it there ready. So I didn't just work on the job. I concentrated on what was important about that job. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
They appreciated that. They didn't have to ask me about, I need a hemostat, I need a Kelly clamp. Those are some of the instruments that were mentioned. But I had them already there ready.
Yeah.
You
'Cause
know,
you knew in advance what was needed.
I exactly knew what it was in advance was needed. Right.
Yeah. Well, that's a blessing. So now, how about marriage?
Well, I've been
Your
married now. Huh?
How about your husband? Yeah. How long have you been married?
I've been married now about close to 42 years.
And what's your husband's name?
George P. Brown Jr.,
Okay.
named after his father.
42 years strong, huh?
Yeah, 42 years. We've gone through our ups and downs, because some people look at things and saying, well, how do you make it? How do you get through this situation? And you can't get through anything without the Spirit of the Lord leading and guiding you in the way you should go. You know what I'm saying?
That's
And
right.
follow his directions, not what you think it ought to be. But
Yeah.
like you said, we're 14 years different in our age. I am sure that when you say that, people would say, how could they make it? That age difference in there. They're not going to make it. They can't make it. There's nothing about that situation can work. But all things are done under the decency of the Lord. All things come to an understanding with Him leading and guiding you in the directions. All things are possible.
All things are possible. Yeah. So now getting back to like we got your job, your education. And what about your first, do you remember your first apartment?
My first apartment.
Because I know that being young and having young children, that you had a good support system with your dad. And you know what, we need to go back to that, because when you lost your mom, we didn't touch on that. How old were you?
I was 8 years old, and my brother that I've named in there, James Otis Higgins, he was like 6 years old, 8 and 6.
Okay.
I became a kind of what do you call it, a nurturer.
Yeah.
You know,
helping your brother raise your brother. And that must have been difficult, losing your mom at such a young age, only being 8 years old.
very hard to understand. And sometimes today, right now, I wonder if I've completely gotten, you don't get over something completely.
No.
But I wonder if I have become to accept and understand the reasons why that was going on, because the Lord takes us through different versions of our life where we go through. He's there with us. As you know, He promised never to leave us, not forsake us.
That's
And He's
right.
there getting us through whatever difficult part we're going through in life. And as we progress through this life, we understand that song was said, understand things better by and by.
Yeah.
It comes to us with a reason and an understanding. So I'm grateful for that, because God, the Lord has helped me to grow up, not only accepting Christ as my Savior, but helping to not only just know He was there, but learning more about Him and the love He has for us each day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So now your mom being 24 years old when she transitioned and went home to be with the Lord. And I know we talked about this before. You know, back then they would have the body lay in state inside the home, correct?
Right, right.
And so you were 8 years old and your brother was 6, while your mom was laying in state in your home, and people would come in to your home to view her body, correct?
Right.
I just thought, wow, that's got to be difficult. That you're going to bed at night and your mom is downstairs. You know, how did you deal with that?
It's something that just seems like, we had good grandparents too. They would take in time to talk to you about stuff,
Yeah.
and she was laid down there, and my grandmother would always say, Auntie, she's peacefully resting. She's asleep. Like she's been sick, but she's on a journey now of resting.
Yeah.
I didn't know, but she's in heaven, and they explain things like that. But she's quiet now. She's not hurting, have no pain. So that's the reason I guess you understand things in life about heaven and accepting pain and how to deal with what's going on in your life that's around you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It becomes a part of your mental structure where you're able to kind of get through it. Not saying that you understand it all the time, but you learn how to deal with it as you get older,
Yeah.
Because it was strange. It was strange to me. And my brother, I talked to him. I said, was I being trained? Yes. Was I talking to him and loving him and let him know? Yes. Because he was crazy. He was the last child, and he was crazy about his mother. Not only that I was, but he loved, like boys step on their mother.
Yeah.
He loved his mother.
Yeah.
I'm sure he had some times in his life growing up that he had to deal with difficult things in life. You don't know what he dealt with them through his marriages or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
You
I'm
don't know,
sure
you never know how it affects you
you don't know
as you
how.
become older. And
Exactly.
so when your parent, your elders, they would have you touch the body and
Yeah,
become familiar with her laying in
exactly.
that state.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So
It would say to me, like it would take the fear out of you.
yeah.
Like they had, old people had remedies for things. Like if you touched the body and you just felt that skin wasn't like your skin anymore. I could still think about that in my mind, that coldness. It wasn't like a life. You know what I'm saying?
Life had left the body.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I mean that's amazing that they had that kind of conversation with you at that age.
Right, exactly.
And then I know touching on religion and spirituality, which I know you being raised in the church. Yeah, the church that you were raised in, what's the name of the church?
Bethel Baptist Church on Ash Street,
Yeah.
Lexington, Kentucky.
And
502.
you were raised there as a little girl, right?
Oh yeah.
You're a
right.
church baby, as they say.
Exactly.
And so your parents went to that church, and your maternal grandparents went to that church, correct?
Yeah, well, I'd say just said like this. My mom went to the church because her mother, Sarah Baker, went to that church.
Yeah.
And like you said, at that part of the family, my mom was there, more so than my dad, because he shared with us, he went. But his part of the family was connected to Quinn Chapel Baptist Church. I'm not Baptist, but Quinn Chapel Methodist Church.
It's an AME church, Quinn Chapel
AME
AME.
church, right. But he shared with us there.
African Methodist Episcopal
Listen,
Church.
right.
Yeah.
And other parts of our family belong there too, like, the Watkins and Shelbys and different ones in the family,
Yeah, yeah. And so now when your mom passed away, and I know that was a difficult time for you, who raised you and your brother?
My mother's sister, Laura Bell Turpin.
She was the oldest, correct?
I'm thinking she was the oldest because there's me, Miriam and Anderson. Baker Anderson. I don't know.
She was the middle
She was the middle one, yeah.
child,
So,
yeah.
yes.
And so your mom was the baby.
Yeah, Laura Turpin was the one who raised me like my mom,
Yeah, her and her husband, and his name was,
James William Turpin.
okay, and Laura Baker Turpin and James William Turpin raised you after your mom passed, you and your brother.
Right.
Yeah. And they had a child too, didn't they?
They had a child. Her name was Mary Frances Turpin.
Okay, and was she younger than you?
A couple of years younger. Her and my brother, they were a couple of years younger than myself.
Okay, so they were around the same age. You were a couple of years
Right.
older than that. And
Right.
so you were raised, you and your brother were raised with your first cousin as if you were brothers and sisters, correct?
When we see it, yeah, like brothers and sisters.
Yeah, yeah. And so in turn, her children, which today, she had 4 children back then. And so her 4 children, Rodney Turpin, Kay Francis Turpin, Linda Turpin, and Larry Turpin. They were my first cousins. Well, actually, they're my second cousins, but they're like first cousins. We're like and raised like brothers and sisters, basically.
Right.
And now your relationship being back home in Lexington, and them being there, they care for you a lot. They take care of you, which I appreciate. They're, since I'm not there and I live here in Chicago, that they're able to pick you up, take you places. They check on you,
Right. Right.
Close-knit family.
Right. Exactly.
Yes. And that's a blessing to have that.
Exactly.
Because with you not having your son and your daughter not living there, I'm grateful that they're there for you.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And I know Kay with her daughters, and one in particular, which is close to Cheyenne. Sorry about the dogs.
Right.
Cheyenne is very close to you and considers you like a grandmother, and she has 2 kids, Mamie and Joanne, that consider you as a great grandmother.
Right. Wanye and Mamie.
Wanye.
Right. And they're happy to see me. I'm happy to see them, and I miss them too when I don't see them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
You become with a bond to each other, even though I know there's a dream.
Yes.
And I miss seeing him and can't get to him all the time like I want to. I love them and love sharing with them and things that they do,
Yeah, yeah. And so getting back to the loss of your mom, pardon dogs, the loss of your mom, I know spiritually how that affected you and hurt you so much. And I know you touched on the fact that, you would be angry with the Lord, as a young woman, wondering why, that happened.
Yeah, like I said, I was 8 when she passed. My brother was 6. I was growing into a situation of life where, you want your mother, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And you want comfort from her. You want to come home and have a problem, you want to talk to her.
Yes.
And some of the things I was going through in life that I didn't quite understand at that time. And I was angry, like, well, why do you take my mom? What's wrong? Why did you do that? It has questions in your mind or whatever.
Yes.
But the Lord lets you know God is real in our lives, people. And
Yes,
whatever
he
we go through in this life, he lets us know that he's in charge. He knows about everything we're going through. He knows the beginning and ends of every situation in our lives. And he will come and let you have your own feeling about you, what you want to feel about it. But there's one thing you learn. He'll be there for you and let you know that he continue loving you. And that's what part I'm so grateful, because he's a forgiving God. He let you go on and have your opinion about things. Why? Why
Mhm.
you don't understand things, but he's always going to be there to get you through whatever situation it is. I'm so grateful that he let me understand things, was with me, and taught me how to love, taught me the trueness of what love is, because all love comes from the Lord. He teaches us how to do it. We're not born in love, we're born in sin and shaping into iniquity.
Yeah.
He teaches us how to get through the situations. I thank God for his great love. I thank God for teaching me how to love. I thank God for just being there for me. And if
Yeah.
I had nothing else to say, I'll just praise his holy and righteous name
Yeah.
for everything he's been to me.
Amen. Amen. And touching also on the loss of your son, my brother,
Yes,
how
yes, yes.
difficult that was.
Yeah, he got me through that too.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
really
To
got me
lose a
through.
child is got to be difficult.
It is very difficult. And I feel his presence, like when we have something, I know you do too. We
Yeah.
have different reunions or things we have to get together on, we've been doing. We just miss his presence, but we feel him that he's there.
Yes. Yes.
You know, we feel him when he's
And,
there.
and how God helped me to get through the
Yeah,
loss of my
yeah,
brother was that he came to me to tell me that it wasn't about me. And this was about my brother's time. And this was about him receiving his reward. And I could not stop that.
that's
Uh,
right.
God has a time for all of us. And it's not my place to stand in the way of that. And if I do, then it becomes about me and not about him.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah. So another thing I wanted to ask you about was we talked about we were getting back to places where you lived. You know, some of the places as far as when we were younger and your first apartment, that sort of thing.
Well, we stayed with Mom and Jen earlier, you know.
And Mama Jan being uh, your father's second wife, because when you
Right.
lost your mom and your
Virginia, what's her name?
Virginia Dunson.
Dunson Higgins.
Yes.
Right.
And uh, now granddaddy, Leon Otis Higgins, he was in World War II. And so he was in the military when you were being raised by your auntie.
Right.
And so, but he would make sure on his leaves, he would come home and make sure you were cared for, and financially he made sure you were cared for as well, right?
Right. Always there. A great father.
Yeah.
He never would go without making sure we had what we needed. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And that's a blessing. I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. And also he after you were a teenager and he got out of the military, and he remarried because he was a widower, but he remarried Virginia Dunson Higgins. Virginia Dunson, then she became a Higgins, but they bought a home and they brought you and your brother. They brought you and your brother to live in that new home, correct? Yeah, they brought you and your brother to live in the new home in St. Martin Village, correct?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So you lived there with them in a 3-bedroom home, which was basically a new, all new subdivision for blacks, for African
Right,
Americans
exactly.
in Lexington, Kentucky. So you were one of the first families to live in this new subdivision.
Right.
Yes, and you were raised there with them. And I do remember living there and staying with my grandparents. And this was a beautiful place to live. It was,
Right.
it was,
Right.
it was a subdivision of, it was an all black community, which was just where people took care of their families. They took care of their property. They were hard workers. I remember that growing up, being raised and surrounded in this subdivision by these people who cared for their families and they cared for their community.
Right, exactly. Right.
I mean, you could sit on the front porch and a car would go up and down. Cars that would drive up and down the street, you just would wave, you just hold your hand up. Hey, hey. I don't care how many times the car passed, but this is what you did. You know, you waved at people passing by. And these people that lived in this community, they worked. You know, most of them, the husband and wife worked, because I know my grandparents both worked. Right. And my grandfather and my grandmother both were able to retire from their jobs that they worked.
Right.
So this was, to me, seeing this as a child inspired me to become a hard worker, and seeing you work as hard as you worked in the jobs you had, to become a hard worker and to want that 2-parent family where you can work together to have something.
Right.
So that was, and then you were able to get your own apartment after that, with still having support of your family.
Right, exactly.
And I remember that was in Aspendale, Bluegrass, Aspendale.
Bluegrass. And that was another place that Black people hadn't begun to live in. They just opened it up to them, you know.
Yeah.
So we had to get through we got through a lot of things of trying to organize and understand each other, you know what I'm saying? Because here we come moving into the area, they probably hadn't dealt with many of us at all as far as Black people, and having something where to live that was really nice and laid out. So a lot of times, you know, they had a lot of action trying to be against us or whatever, but you just held your peace, talked to them with decently and in order, way you're supposed to, and live a good life and raise your kids the way they're supposed to be raised. And then the kids started accepting each other, growing together, enjoying each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know, when I looked up the history on, it was actually Bluegrass, Aspendale. And so right. there was a division between Aspendale and Bluegrass. And there was actually barbed wire fence that separated Aspendale, which the African Americans lived on that side of the barbed wire fence, and then Bluegrass, where the white people lived on the other side of the barbed wire fence. Now that was low income housing that was created like after the war for people to move in, and they were nice apartments. They would have anywhere from 1 to 3 bedroom apartments, and right. with yards, front and backyards. But when we moved in, they had just torn down the barbed wire fence to allow African Americans to move in on the Bluegrass side. Right. And so we were one of the first families that moved in on the Bluegrass side. And that was you being a single parent with 2 young kids.
Right.
Now, I remember just being raised with white people, you know, right. Playing with white kids, going over to their house, them coming over our apartments, and them coming to our apartment. So I didn't really see any kind of segregation because we were raised together. You know, we were raised to play together. We went to the parks together. Right. We swam together. So it was amazing at that time, looking back on it, that when I moved to Chicago, that there was such segregation. And I was thinking, well, I was raised with playing with white kids, so why is there such segregation in Chicago? But that was a unique situation that now I look back on. It was unique at that time because I didn't know the history of the segregation of those apartments.
Right.
But like I said, you brought your kids, and that you raised your kids, and being one of the first African American families over there.
Right.
Yeah, and that was so unique. So what about places that you've traveled?
Wow. I was born in Kentucky. I was able to travel around a lot of little places when I started out being young, like the natural places that are close to you is like Louisville, Cincinnati, and Bowling Green. We're all the parts of Kentucky. Then as I grew and got older, I was always adventurous about stuff. I wanted to see the world, things that's going on. We would go on out of town trips with our school too. I can call some of the names right now.
Yeah.
But then I had my daughter, which has been such a blessing to me. She was able to be grounded and rooted and having a job at United Airlines. And I think her tenure there, she'd been there here lately for 30-some years.
Yeah.
I've had a chance to go to China, Japan. Oh, I don't know, some of the places.
Hawaii. We went to Hawaii.
Hawaii, and
went to Tokyo,
and
Seoul, Korea. Yeah.
right.
We had some good trips, Mom.
Yeah, we had some good trips. I like you look at that to see. I was thinking about that country across the country. I was always saying it was like Peru, but I think this country's up in the.
We went to Venezuela.
Venezuela.
Yeah, Venezuela. Caracas, I think.
Caracas.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah, that was I remember that. So yeah, we had some. You were my traveling buddy when
I enjoyed that.
When I first got the job. I was like, me and Mom, we're going somewhere. We're going some places. So yeah, we had a good time. We had a good time.
And we did.
Yes.
We did. So thankful for that, because God blessed me with something of the desires of my heart through you.
Yeah. You were nervous about me getting the job. I know that, about actually flying.
Right.
Being in the air. That you're a little apprehensive about that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you never know if you never flown before. How do you know?
Yeah, that's true.
And then you come along and get a job where you're going to be in the air working most of your time.
Yeah.
So the only thing I could understand about that, you are working and flying in the air.
Yeah.
And I said, oh my Lord. And I was so confused and upset about that. But like I said, the Lord lets us know. He said, when you come home one weekend and you're going back out to work, and we had to make sure you got to the airport to leave and go back to Chicago. And I was always thinking, the Lord, everything's going to be okay. How's things working? I'd be talking to him, and the Lord let me know everything's going to be all right.
Everything's going to be all right. And you know what? It's something about that, because I guess I just didn't have enough sense to be afraid. So I always had this blind faith as a kid. I was like, I can do anything. I'm going to do anything, right?
Right.
I'm not going to let anything stop me. I didn't have any fear. So that kind of comes back to me as a later age and deciding to retire. I was like, well, I didn't have any fear when I was a kid. Why would I develop fear now? It doesn't make sense. So, but yeah, we were great traveling buddies. I enjoyed you. We always have a good time together, Mom.
I always did have a good time together.
Yeah. Now, do you have any, like a place on your bucket list that you would love to go?
Well, I always talked about it and seen pictures of it, and I think you gave my your niece a chance at it, and I never been to Paris.
Oh, Paris. I love Paris.
Right.
Well, hey, we can go to Paris, Mom. Just
I
let me
know.
know. You gotta get that passport together. We
Right,
have been
exactly.
talking about that passport. You and that passport. You gotta get that passport together so we can go to Paris.
I know that's right.
Yeah. So now, what about like any hopes, dreams as a young person that you had? What were some of the hopes and dreams I know that stick out?
Well, I always wanted a boutique or store
Okay. Yeah.
where I could have the fashions and things that I enjoyed having and
Mm,
sharing with the females that wanted something and enjoyed those things. You know what I'm saying? They could come
yeah.
and shop. They could come and sit down and talk and go through some things that was going on in their life, like stress things we could share.
That sounds like a great idea.
There's always was something in my mind I thought about, but you know, the Lord just always led me to being that nurturing person, taking care of somebody, being there for them.
Yeah.
So maybe it's
Since you did that for your brother, since you were 8 years old, you've been doing that.
exactly. So it's
Yeah.
been a part of my life, the nurturing type thing, caring.
Yeah.
Find out what's happening with somebody else, even with the people I'd work with, the nurses that I was around. If something was there, I was right there helping them to get through whatever, any pain or something need to be done, any type of relief or something. I was always there, even to my friends, talking to them, asking them about what's going on with them. And I've always been kind of like independent about that. That's the reason I'm always has been a person that would say she's alone doing this, she's alone doing that. Ain't nobody there for her because I'm very independent.
Yeah.
And I like doing stuff, and I used to go ahead and do it. Now that I'm getting older, I don't have the always the transportation type of thing that I used to have on my own. But the people that
Yeah.
do it, like my husband is very good to me,
Yeah.
and he takes me to the basic things that I have a need to go to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I don't like to what do you say, impart or embark on things just for him to have to take me.
Yeah.
Then, like you said, my cousins and nieces and nephews that are here. If it's something that comes up, they'll be there for me too. I know
Yeah.
that they do it. They show that.
Yeah.
So I'm
And
just grateful.
then if you need something, I'll be right on that airplane, Mom. You know that. I'd get
I
on
always
that
say that. That's
airplane
why
right now.
I have to be careful with you, because you will get on that airplane and
I'll
fly
get on
down
that
there.
airplane right now. Just tell me. I wouldn't hesitate. I don't
I
hesitate.
know that's right.
You know how much I love you, and
I know.
I will be right there and a drop of the hat. So
I know that's right, sweetie.
and what about like I remember some of the cars you used to have. You had a little Corvair. Remember the
Corvette.
Corvair?
Corvette.
Oh, Corvette.
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 Well, it was Corvair. It was VAIR, Corvair. That's what it was.
It was Corvair. That's what I thought. It was a cute little car.
It was.
Like a 60s, 70s kind of car. And you used to drive fast, Mom. And because I remember when you would pick us up from elementary school sometimes, and all the kids were like, can we ride home with you? Can we ride home with you? Because there was this one little curve on the way home that you would hit, and we would all go falling into each other. And they loved that. It was like a ride, like an amusement park ride. And so everybody wanted to ride home with us because of you driving that Corvette or Corvette, whatever it was.
Oh my goodness.
And so what about pets? What kind of, did you ever have a pet?
Well, I told you about that. I've had pets around me.
Yeah, don't count my pets. Don't count my pets. Don't count my pets. This is your, what pet did you have?
I had, I was mostly interested in birds when I was growing up in little elementary school. I had a parrot. I had a Banny rooster. I had a canary.
Wow.
I was a bird person.
You're a bird whisperer.
Yeah.
And when you told me that, Mom, I was like, that's kind of different. You know, most people have cats, dogs. Okay, now you just gonna come out with the rooster or the bird, all right? I'm like,
Right.
okay, that's a little different. But that's my mom. She's always been a little different.
Well, what do you think about that kind of personality with me just enjoying those animals?
Yeah, that's different. I gotta have something you can cuddle with. I like, you can hold or cuddle a dog. Bird, you just kind of gotta look at and talk to.
They sensitive. They know what you're doing too. They got a good sensitivity.
Yeah.
They know, because there's one bird I had that I would go to, it's in elementary school. I come home, walk home from school. That bird, little Benny, knew when I was coming out of school, and the time I got there, be standing on the top of the steps waiting for me.
Wow.
Now that sounds strange to some people, but I like to talk to them. I love to talk to them.
Wow.
So I know that God gave them the same sensitivity of paying attention to things around them and hearing, like we have. They can't really just talk to you, but they know how to chirp and do little things, and you learn from them the things that they can do.
Wow. So I can vouch that you do. You love to talk. So the birds, they probably understand you. And what about you said you had a rooster now? Did the rooster wake you up in the morning? What's going on with that?
Yeah.
Like, what's the rooster?
Yeah, we probably had that rooster there because my auntie, I don't know whether it's Uncle Jim Roots or something, bring something like a rooster, small. Well, he was a bit that sometimes they were big, and we were living in the Cope project, and we had roosters in the yard.
Wow. And
my aunt would kill them. She could wring their necks and kill them.
That's a little too much. Now, what about like you're talking about this is in Charlotte Court in Lexington, which was a housing project. So right. You had roosters running around in the front yard?
Well, not in the front. We had a backyard too, so we could have a fenced in.
I don't know what's going on there, but I was like, roosters. And so, okay. We're going to talk about what about good best friends, good friends. So you have good best friends, good friends?
I have some good acquaintances. I call them acquaintances because, I don't separate people. Said that's my best friend. That's the reason you know me on Facebook when people say they have friends and I list all their friends.
Yeah.
Well, everybody to me is an individual, and I care for them, each one. And I don't consider having a best friend.
Okay.
I consider having somebody that's a close friend that I can communicate with we're on the same level where we can talk and get through things together. We might be going through the same things at the same time. We can share those things together. And sometimes we understand each other better than the other ones around us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay.
And that's what I like about it. I mean, there was my friend just passed away, my good friend, Freddie Ricker Spellman.
Yes, yes.
And she was a great person to me because we shared our children. Y'all all grew up together, all her children, and you all grew up together.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's like across the street, Johnny Thomas and Stephanie Thomas. And,
Stephanie K.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we grew up with them. And what about, there was a lady I do remember when we were younger that you were good friends with, Miss Patricia Demas.
Tricia Demas.
Yes.
She was younger than I was too. You said, well, how could she be a friend of this young woman? And she was younger than you. But I always try to help her to understand the right things to do. Even though I went through some things, I try to share things with her. And we became the best companions with each other when we went together, shared things together, whatever. Because I knew that she had some things she's going through. She's young and she's a very good looking girl. And I wanted her to understand, not let nobody really take advantage of her, had to know how to handle herself. So we go into some deep conversations about relationships with men too,
Mm-hmm. I remember her mom.
You remember her, Miss Hattie?
That was her name, Miss Hattie.
Miss Hattie Demas. Yeah.
Yes, she was so sweet. And so she would babysit us when you and Miss Patricia would go somewhere. And because Miss Patricia had a daughter named Jennifer, I remember her.
Jennifer. Yeah.
And so, but Miss Hattie, that's the first time I learned to drink tea, like tea with milk and sugar. And
Really?
she had these beautiful little kind of red, you could see through the cups and saucer set. They were kind of like a glass, you could see reddish color.
Right.
And we would sip tea with milk and sugar. And it was so soothing. And I just remember that about her mom. She was sweet.
Oh, okay. She was a sweet lady.
Yeah.
Very sweet.
Yeah.
Right.
So now talking about church, because you've always been in the church. We talked about you being a church baby. So you worked in the church as a young girl and also in the convention. Tell us a little bit about that. How'd you start with the convention?
How does it start with the convention? Well, you know, you in church, well, I've always been in church, like I said, when other people wasn't going back or doing something. When I was really young, even after my mother had passed away, it was two ladies lived in Charlie Court, two elderly ladies, and they belonged to the First Baptist Church downtown, because that old first, it's the First Baptist Church up on Georgetown Street, but it was a regular downtown. It was on Second and Third down in that area.
Yeah, I remember.
And of course, it's called First Africa now, but it's First Baptist when it was downtown in the early parts of the day. Yeah. And they would have, after we come out of our church on Sunday mornings, they would have afternoon services sometimes. And those two little old ladies would go back to church. Mm. Now, how I got hooked up with them, I don't know. But I'd always go back to church, from my church to their church, to First Baptist downtown.
Okay.
Reverend Nutter was the pastor then. Mm. And he was so distinguished, tall, very classy. Mm. And he had good words, like, you know, his voice was so sound and solid. Mm. And I got involved in that at an early age. You know, he would say, "The Lord is good, and I know what he can do." And I'd hear that voice, I said, "Oh," because it was magnifying, you know what I'm saying? Uh-huh. And from a young age, hearing that, I always loved ministers that were very good in their speaking and stood strongly on the word that they were talking about. And I always just kept going and sharing with somebody. Then there came a Reverend J. Sterling Beverly to Bethel.
Yeah, he baptized me when I was 6.
Yes, isn't that something?
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. And he stood on the word. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was able to grow from that. That's how I got into the convention, because when they had the conventions coming up, people would travel different places, like Cincinnati would be the places we'd stay, in the hotels down there, and all people would come across different parts of Kentucky and gather for the convention. Mm-hmm. And I'd be right with him and Sister Beverly. I just wanted to be with them and go with them.
He and his wife were lovely people and sincere people.
Yeah, they were that way. Yeah. So after that, I just kind of started going, and I kind of got, I'm not saying caught up, because I was already part of in my system to do whatever, but I got more involved. And when they put me in a position, I fulfilled it, you know.
Yeah.
And was able to share it, and I loved it. So from that stage, the second I've been the help with the Treasury Department and worked in the Treasury. I became part of a secretary, and as a Treasury Secretary, I know I did some things with history reports or history reports. But then after that, I became the president in 1993 to 97.
Okay. President of what?
Of the Consolidated District Sunday School and BTU Convention.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I remember that, because I did come and sing.
You did. You come and sang for one of my openings. You sure did.
I did. So now you were the president there, and also you sang in the choir at church too.
Oh, I sang at Bethel. I love singing in that choir. I was a little girl, young, singing. We had a young choir we started in.
Mhm.
And so from there, we just kind of, matured into the next choir level, senior choir, junior, senior.
Yeah, and you still sing in the choir right now, don't
Yeah, but since this pandemic has been going on,
you? Yeah,
now we know we're in that. And some of the times we had things that's kind of closed down from what they used to be and kind
yeah.
of consolidate them into one thing.
Yeah.
So now we have congregational singing, the ones that can come in that feel safe to come on in the church, would be distancing in church,
Social
and we're
distancing.
taking temperatures in church.
Yeah,
And now I work as a member of the Nurses Guild with the nurses. So that's been a blessed job, reading people as they come in, making sure
yeah.
they're okay, making
And you
sure not
take
only
you take their temperature before they
yeah,
come in, don't you?
they get their temperature, write their names down, and just keep a
Okay.
record of the chart of what's going on with them. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful. And because you guys have also people that sit out in their cars in the parking lot
Oh
as well.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yes. And they listen to it and they enjoy it. And like you said, when we get out of church, the ones that don't want to come in, we get to go out there and see them, before
Yeah,
they leave. That's
social
a blessing
distancing.
too.
Yeah, that is a blessing. So, what do you have like? Oh, I want to hear. What about what is your profession of faith?
Well, I'm Baptist by faith, but I'm Baptist not only by that, but by the word of Christ, believing in his doctrine and what he's all about. First of all, I said, I believe that, a lot of faith, they say religion don't believe that Jesus is the Son of God. Now, the doctrine says, and he brought the word to us, that he came to save us from our sins. First of all, I have to believe that in my heart because that was the purpose and reason why I accepted him, because I believe he's the Son of Jesus Christ. So I'm just Baptist by religion, but by faith, I'm just a born again, baptized believer of Christ.
Believing in the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
Okay. And what about just to touch on your feelings about life and death? Excuse me.
That's hello, Solomon. Hello,
That's
Solomon.
sweet. That's sweetie. She's the loud one.
Oh, she's a loud one. That's sweet.
Yes. Well, they both can be loud, but whew. Okay,
That's
Mom.
sweetie girl. She thought she'd come and speak to us, I guess. She's gonna say hello to us. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, she's saying hello.
Well, life has been a blessing to me. I don't reject anything about my being here. I thank the Lord for my learning, my sharing with others, and being able to understand things in life that we go through and accept the things in life we go through, because sometimes we can't accept everything, and some people commit suicide. This can happen to some people. Some people get dysfunctional, dislocated, and make wrong moves in life. But I've had a very good life, and I thank the Lord for that.
Yeah.
I haven't always been with people that really, I said, would just always seem like they understand me all the time, but I could talk to them, and sometimes they would listen. And I just like to being able to, the fellowship part of it, being able to share. Sometimes when I was younger, I was more introverted. Would you believe I was so introverted? I didn't hardly talk at all to anybody. It was quiet. But there was a reason the Lord brought me out of that shell to have me to share with other people, do some things for it. Now, I know that we're going through things in this life, we got the pandemic and things are going on, but I know it's all a personal thing, how we receive, how we react to it. But we must keep our faith and believe that God is over all things. He knows everything. He's way ahead of us. And like the scripture I said, and you said it the other night, and I said it, because Landon, and when they talk to me, Landon and all those, they know that I believe in that the earth is the Lord, the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. He all belongs to him. He appoints us, like you said, a day for everything. He lets us know that we have gifts, and I don't care, the gifts don't have to be a big, extraordinary gifts.
Mhm.
Hugging, sharing, loving, touching touching.
Mhm.
And those things are so important. And I know he, at the end of it, he said, you will have eternal life.
Mhm.
And I believe in that because one day he's coming back and he is coming back and he's going to take us to be with him. The promise of eternal life to be with him is such a blessing and a glory. And to
Yeah.
share with you and my son, my family, and the young people that come along, he still got me here for. You know, that's been a lesson in my life. Been such a blessing.
Yeah.
I
And
have
you,
peace. I have peace.
you have
Remember he
peace
said
that passes all understanding.
exactly.
The
Not
only
you
peace
know
that
what?
he can give.
That's the peace he can give. And you know what? And it don't all come in words because like the peace the world can give to you, but his peace, like you said,
Yes.
that you're growing in every day as you get older, get stronger, and more willing to do his will. That peace keeps coming to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And at the end of it all, that peace will be total complete.
Yeah.
Such a blessing to share with you.
You
And
too.
have you
So,
do
Mom,
that.
you don't have any regrets, do you?
Not really. I mean, I've gone through some suffering and pain. You know, I could sit here and say, "Oh Lord, this didn't happen for me. Oh Lord, I did this. I didn't get to do this. I didn't get to do that." But everything's not meant to be. Some things, when you have things that you want or things that happen, might lead you in another direction of life. You know,
Yeah, that
really,
might not be good for you.
might not be good for you.
Mm.
Because I mean, I'd grown up and I'd hate to say things like this. I'll go back and say it. It was always, "Oh, there she is. What she look like? Oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, yeah." And I get so upset about that because I was saying to myself, do you like me for me? Do
Mm.
you like me for the inner self that I am? Are you looking on the outside and seeing all the things from the outside and don't see what I have to offer from the inside?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes you get caught up with people telling you all that kind of stuff. You get in the wrong, being led in wrong direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think before I end this is what happened to a lot of females in our family around us. They get caught up in themselves
Mm.
and what they look like and being competitive with what they need to do in this world to keep up with everybody else.
Mm.
But I'm still taking time out to find out what God really has for them to do and accepting that and being happy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Caught up in worldliness. So
Yeah, caught up in the worldly stuff.
yeah. Well, that's something we got to pray about continuously, and living in the world that we're in with constantly images being flashed in front of your face on a daily basis. And that's why a lot of times will remove myself from a lot of the stuff going on, television and social media, and just have some alone time where I'm sitting out back with my dogs, uh, looking at the trees and the squirrels, and just getting some nature healing. And that those things are important to me.
They are. They really are.
But I want to say what a blessing it is for you to be my mom, and for the relationship that we have. And I can't imagine having another mom, because you're the best. And I love you. And this interview of your life, I wanted to have documented, so even you have grandkids and grandkids can look back on this and see their grandma and their great grandma and their great great grandma and their great 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 and so on and so on. But anyway, that ends our interview. I love you. Do you have anything else you want to add or say?
Well, I want to say for the interview's over, say hello to my other cousins around. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't let them out. I've loved them all my life. We shared in reunions and things together. And that's the Watkins and Shelbys and, the Browns and all them. Then on the other side of the family, the Higgins, Barbara Higgins, Pete Higgins, and just to have something to say about them, because I do talk to them every once in a while. And they are, the other side of the family is my first cousins too. Leon Higgins and named
Mhm.
after his father, and just all those Higgins that are involved too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
part of me, and I check on them every once in a while, not all the time, but they are a part of me. So I love them all.
yeah. Well, thank you, Mom. This has been a wonderful interview, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Well, I did.
Yeah, yeah.
First of all, you said I started out like I was being mean and contrary because I couldn't get that thing straightened out because I'm so hyper, and I get so hyper and caught up in things that I don't know why I think everything has to be perfect. It's got to be like this. Why don't I understand this? Why can't I put it together like this? Why don't this goes like this? And that's some things we got to not let get to us. You know what I'm saying? That's another
Yeah,
thing.
stop controlling everything and being so annoyed. You know, you just have that personality, and I just want to make sure you look okay. And you're not frustrated or looking
Right.
like so mean on camera or whatever. So, of course, you know how I am. I'm just one of them kind of people that,
I
I
know.
like things a certain way, but I do relax about things. I want to make it enjoyable.
I
So
know you
I
do.
hope
I know.
I hope I have.
You have. I love you, and I've enjoyed the interview with you. Okay, sweetie. Love
Okay,
you. Love you.
I love you too. I'm gonna shut off the recording part and we can still talk. Uh,
Okay.
that's been my interview with my mom, Oma Lee Higgins Brown.
Thank you.
Thank you.